That song was by Windhand off of their self titled CD. The song was called Diablerie, Diablerie, Diablerie. Use it in a sentence. Before that was Conan with Volt Thrower, Volt with a V. There is a band called Bolt Thrower with a B, but this is Volt Thrower off of Existential Void Guardian. And those songs are for people that like their music tuned down and sludgy. And we'll check out more of those in the next few weeks, especially Windhand. I'm interested to see more so than Conan. Sorry, guys, but I'm interested to see how the other songs on that Windhand disc play out. If we can capture them and get them on the air. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. This is Mostly Metal, and I'm going to take a slight detour for Mostly Metal, like I did last week at this time, to do a segment called Ken's Dark Corner. All right, let's hope that if I keep this going over several weeks, that little 45-second intro is not the most interesting thing about it. Welcome to Ken's Dark Corner. I'm Ken the Metal Professor, and what the heck is going on here? Because this is supposed to be a music show. Well, you know that most weeks it's a music show, mostly metal, and you know some weeks it's a wrestling show when there's the Northwest Indiana Wrestling Action Program. One of the great things about being a volunteer show host here at WVLP, your all-volunteer community radio station in Valparaiso, is that we don't have corporate overlords telling us what to do. And if I would like to indulge myself and spend a few minutes talking about another passion of mine, which is horror movies, then dang it, that's what I'm going to do, because I have the microphone and the little knobby things that make it work. And so last week was the first episode, and ta-da, today is episode number 2. And what I'm going to do is tell you about the Puppet Master movies. Some of you might know of these, some of you might not. The Puppet Master movies are a series of movies from Full Moon Entertainment that started coming out in 1989, when the very first Puppet Master movie came to video store shelves. These are not theatrical releases by any means. They used to be on VHSs, and now they're on DVD and Blu-ray and streaming, but it's all just evolution. There are now 12 mainline Puppet Master movies with a couple of offshoots, and they range in quality from pretty fun and pretty good to, there was no reason for that movie to exist. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Puppet Master, the first one, came out in 1989, and for a movie titled Puppet Master, you can guess there are puppets in it. So if you're a person that gets the heebie-jeebies from creepy little puppets, creepy little dolls, this is the movie for you. The setup for the first movie is that a gentleman named Andre Toulon had emigrated from Germany during World War II with his puppets, which he learned how to bring to life without any cables or wires or anything like that. He had a magic puppet elixir, apparently, which glows green, like the stuff from the Reanimator movies, but no connection. And he brought them over to the United States, set up shop in a place called the Bodega Bay Hotel, which overlooks the ocean in California. It's not a real place. And then when the Nazis are chasing him down, he kills himself, leaving the puppets behind, never to be seen again, until modern times, or at least 1989, when some people come into the hotel and they stumble upon the puppets, because the puppets are waking up and causing havoc and slicing people's ankles and things like that. Because they're puppets, they're pretty short, right? Puppet Master 2 followed up Puppet Master 1 in the timeline, where the people in the original movie, almost all but one, were no more, thanks to the puppets. And in Puppet Master 2, there's a new crew of people, kind of paranormal investigator sorts of folks coming out to see what the heck went on at this hotel, and they all get wiped out too. That's basically the end of linear progression of the storyline. Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, takes us back to World War II when Andre Toulon was being hunted by the Nazis for his elixir, and he decided he had to get out of there. One of the reasons this series gets interesting is that these first three movies are actually very good for what they are. And by the third movie now, the puppets become the sympathetic figures, and they're kind of the good guys all the way through the rest of the series. In Puppet Master 3, they're trying to escape the baddies, and the puppets are causing mayhem, as they do, but that's because they're trying to get away from the Nazis and keep themselves hidden. Puppet Master 4 and 5 take us back to the Bodega Bay Hotel for a passing of the torch of the main body of characters. The dolls have been hidden away again, and now they're rediscovered by more people staying in the hotel. The puppets are the good guys in this movie as well, and they're helping the main characters once they find out what's going on to try to defeat these evil demons, because the demon Sutek is angry that Andre Toulon had taken his magic elixir, or his secret for animation of these puppets and other things. And so he's sending his little demon baddies. And so the Puppet Master 4 and 5 are basically one story, but split out into two movies. They filmed them both at the same time. And the big demon overlord Sutek is sending his little tiny puppet-sized demons, which is awfully convenient, to our world to try to get these puppets and to get the elixir back that was stolen from him. And so the first 5 movies sort of form a cohesive story where you start in the modern day, you go back and see how it started, you come back to the modern day and move it forward a little bit more, and then things kind of go off the rails. The 5th Puppet Master movie is called Curse of the Puppet Master, and this is yet another transfer of ownership of the dolls and transfer of the main character sets. And at this point, I am actually drawing a blank as to how the puppets were discovered in this movie, because all these movies kind of blend together. This is one that doesn't take place at the Bodega Bay Hotel. There's another guy who's he has the puppets, and I don't remember if they explain why. And there's another character in the movie who's very good at woodwork, so the guy that has the puppets hires on this guy to craft a larger, more magnificent puppet, and he's trying to discover the secret to animating this new puppet just like the old ones. And he's wacko, and the puppets, being the good guys still, they kind of help do him in by the end. Then we have Retro Puppet Master, which goes back even farther than the third movie. We go way back to like the early 1900s, like 1902, when a very young Andre Toulon is first starting to work with puppets in his German area or Swiss area theaters, and learning how to animate them, and some inconsistencies in how the puppets are animated, and when they started getting animated is starting to creep into the storyline. But what are you going to do? What I'm going to do, being that that's the 6th Puppet Master movie out of 12, it's the halfway point, is I'm going to pause for a second to let everybody know that they're listening to WVLP 103.1 FM in Valparaiso. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. In the long run, for these 2 hours that we're in the middle of, this is, excuse me, this is mostly metal, and we'll be returning to music soon after I take a sip of my coffee. That happened last week, too. I just got something in my throat, and it wouldn't go away. But right now, I am taking a break from the music to do Ken's Dark Corner and talking about the Puppet Master movies that I've loved for, what is it, like almost 30 years now, since the very first one came out in 1989. And I just quickly gave an overview of the first 6 Puppet Master movies. Now we're up to Retro Puppet Master, going back to the early 1900s for little boy Toulon in the neighborhood theater playing with his puppets, and other people trying to get the puppets, and et cetera, and it's not a very good movie. Then, if you're noticing a theme that the kind of the point in time where we are in any one movie jumps around spastically, that continues, and it's made even worse by Puppet Master: The Legacy, which is a clip film So if you remember watching sitcoms back in the 80s or 90s or whatever it was, and you'd get to the end of a season and they would have an episode where all the episode was people sitting around laughing about things and having flashbacks to events from other episodes, and it was a clip show. They would just film a very small amount of new footage and piece together a whole bunch of clips from earlier episodes into this clip show. That's what this movie was. They made an entire movie taking the Puppet Master series so far and building a clip show out of it. It actually doesn't matter. There was a setup where somebody was telling somebody else about the history of the puppets, and so they kept going back and forth between the movies. They rearranged some of the things that happened in these movies. I think they were trying to sort of fix the Puppet Master timeline or something, like in comics when they retrofit things. But there really was no reason for this movie to exist. After that, Puppet Master Axis of Evil picks up after Toulon's Revenge, Puppet Master 3, right after World War II. And Andre Toulon comes over to the States and gets into the Bodega Bay Hotel. But this is before Puppet Master 1. So this is a fill-in-the-gap movie where we're filling in the gap between the original setup in World War II when Toulon leaves Europe and brings the puppets over to the States, and Puppet Master 1, where 1989 people discover the puppets and start everything off. This is filling in some of the time between there. And I'm not a big fan of fill-in-the-blank books or movies because you're very constrained in what the outcomes can be, but it is what it is. The puppets and their owners are being chased by Nazis and a Japanese agent who also want the secret of animation. It's kind of the same thing over and over. Now, that's the 9th Puppet Master movie. It is the first of a new trilogy, Axis of Evil, Axis Rising, and Axis Termination. I've only seen the first one now because the reason I'm telling you all this is I had, you can go to Walmart for $5, get a Puppet Master movie pack on DVD that has the first 9 movies. I have not watched the second 2 Axis Rising, or the second and third in this trilogy of Axis this and that. I'm not sure I'm going to. I probably will. But the third of those movies was released in 2017. See, we started in 1989, and we went a long, long way to today. And in 2018, ta-da, Puppet Master The Littlest Reich comes out. It's actually on Amazon, and this is a reboot of the whole series. So they're just wiping out everything they've already done and starting over, instead of picking up at some logical point like, Puppet Master 2 was the farthest in. Well, I guess Puppet Master 4 and 5 were the farthest into the modern timeline we got, and instead of picking up from there and moving everything ahead, they're just wiping everything out and starting over. And I haven't seen that either. So anyway, those are the main 12 Puppet Master movies. There's a side movie called Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. Full Moon Entertainment had the Puppet Master franchise. They also had the Demonic Toys franchise. And if you have evil puppets and you have evil dolls, I mean, there's only one conclusion about what you can do with them, right? You have to have them fight each other. So in 2004, we had Puppet Master versus the Demonic Toys. So overall, what should you take out of the Puppet Master movies? Well, the puppets themselves are spectacular. Whoever designed these things made some very, very memorable puppets that develop character of their own, even though they never say anything. They each have basically one action that they do, but because of the way they look and the way they're used, you can become attached to these guys. So there's Blade, there's Pinhead, Six Shooter, Tunneler, Torch, Leech Woman, I'll let you guess what she does, Jester, Decapitron, which only showed up in one movie. There was some other new puppet at the end of Curse of the Puppet Master. I have no idea what that thing was, but it didn't last long anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Blade, Pinhead, Six Shooter, Tunneler, somewhat Leech Woman, and Jester were sort of the ones that are there for the duration, for a long, long, long stretch from the beginning to the end. And each of them they're just tremendous movie characters. I really appreciate that all these movies are done with no CGI. I mean, back in the late 80s, they probably didn't have a budget for it. These days, CGI is really cheap. Maybe Puppet Master The Littlest Reich, which came out this year, has some CGI in it. I'll find out when I watch it. But all the other ones are done with either stop motion or some other, analog movie-making system. No CGI, which to me, that's tremendous. Whether it was by choice or by budget, I don't know, and I don't care. People that manipulate real things, even if it looks bad, instead of doing CGI, will always get my favor. What did I learn about Full Moon Entertainment? Well, I mean, the Full Moon Entertainment was known to release lots of not so high quality movies, but I don't think they watched the movies that they produced because there were some pretty glaring discontinuities in between some of these movies. And I know now I'm starting to sound like a nerd. But for example, in Puppet Master 2, Leech Woman, the puppet, was thrown into a wood stove and burned by somebody she was trying to attack. In Curse of the Puppet Master, which takes place after Puppet Master 2, Leech Woman is back as one of the puppets with no explanation whatsoever of how that happened. And there's some other things that, like when things happen in the timeline, but those are a little bit more trivial. All in all, what would I say? I would say I recommend you watch the first 5. Puppet Master 1 through 5, the 2 that start things off, Puppet Master 3 when we go back to World War II to see how everything starts off, and then Puppet Master 4 and 5, which bring us back to the modern timelines. Now, these movies are very, very 90s with the special effects, with the music, and with the clothing and hairstyles, but yeah, go with it. And probably once you're done with Puppet Master 1 through 5, if you are getting short on time, don't bother with the rest of them. Of course, if you're like me, you have to watch them once you started watching the series, even though some of them are quite terrible. And that's it. That's Ken's Dark Corner. That took much longer than I thought it would. Next week, I'll do it again. I don't know what we'll talk about. Maybe since today we talked about spooky dolls, maybe next week we can talk about spooky clowns, because I just watched Terrifier on Netflix, and that had a spooky clown in it. So maybe that'll be a good topic. If you have a topic related to horror movies and you want to suggest it, drop me a note, metalprofessor.com. So much for movie talk. Let's get back to the music. The first hour of Mostly Metal here on WVLP was all brand new stuff, and so now it's time to give the oldies a chance. Nothing you hear during this remaining hour will have come out this century. So every song will have been released in the 80s and 90s. This first one by Balance of Power is called Daybreaker, off of their CD 10 More Tales of Grand Illusion, and it came out in 1999.